What would you do with $1 million? Buy a house, a private jet, or go on a lifetime cruise around the world? Well, imagine hitting it big. Like, not $1 million this time, but $1.3 billion big. Well, one lucky individual did just that, but there's more to the story than fancy cars and early retirement. This winner's tale is full of surprises, and it'll make you rethink what winning the lottery really means. In this video, we'll look into the shocking story of the lucky anonymous winner of the $1.3 billion lottery, despite unforeseen circumstances and a host of other surprising lottery stories. Number 1. $1.3 billion lottery. In 2023, an Australian man from Crow's Nest was only one number away from winning a staggering 1.3 billion Australian dollars in an overseas lotto. The 45-year-old had chosen 5 out of the 6 required numbers for the USA Power Lotto. The USA Power Lotto is a very popular lottery played in multiple states across the US and is known for its large jackpots, with drawings held twice a week. Players select numbers from 2 sets, 5 numbers from a pool of white balls and 1 number, the Powerball, from a separate pool of red balls. If the numbers on their ticket match those drawn, they win prizes, with the jackpot going to those who match all 5 white balls plus the Powerball. The lucky winner had purchased a guaranteed Power Lotto system and selected the numbers 5, 8, 9, 17, and 21, with a Powerball at 21. However, the winning numbers turned out to be 5, 8, 9, 17, 41, with a Powerball at 21. But because the odds of winning a Powerball or Mega Millions jackpot are incredibly small, he got compensated. In fact, they're so minuscule that one is more likely to be struck by lightning at some point in their life than to win either jackpot, even if they participated in every drawing for both games over the span of 80 years. However, the story changed for a Powerball player from Oregon who won a staggering jackpot of over $1.3 billion US, breaking a winless streak of more than 3 months. The winning numbers drawn were 22, 27, 44, 52, and 69, with the red Powerball being number 9. This win marked the first Powerball jackpot winner since 2024 New Year's Day, after a crazy 41 draws without a winner. The prize ranked as the 8th largest in U.S. lottery history and would be paid out over 30 years for winners who chose the annuity option. Alternatively, winners opting for cash would receive $608.9 million. As prices grew, so did ticket sales, raising the bar for jackpot wins, with odds reaching 1 in 292.2 million. But this win almost didn't happen. The Saturday night drawing, scheduled for 10:59 European time, got delayed for hours, leaving lottery fans hanging and Powerball players gathered around their screens. Why? Well, believe it or not, it wasn't a technical glitch. For almost 30 years, Powerball has had strict pre-draw procedures. Every single ticket sold across the country gets checked twice by computers before the big drawing. This rigorous process ensures that every ticket sold is duly recorded, but it also makes sure every ticket has a fair shot at winning. This time, one state needed extra time to finalize those checks and pre-draw procedures. Finally, after 2:30 a.m., everything was verified, and the record-breaking winner emerged. The individual, who decided to remain anonymous, holding the winning ticket for the $1.3 billion Powerball jackpot in Oregon, finally stepped forward to claim the prize. The ticket was purchased at a Plaid Pantry convenience store in the northeast part of the city, and because Oregon has never won this before now, the lottery officials are working with the winner through a thorough verification process before officially announcing the winner. The jackpot has a cash value of $621 million if the winner chooses a lump sum payment rather than an annuity spread over 30 years. The prize is subject to federal and state taxes. This win marked the 4th largest Powerball jackpot in history and the 8th largest among U.S. jackpot games. After taxes, the winner could still walk away with over $400 million, a life-changing sum for sure. Let's hope he doesn't end up like some of these other lottery winners. Number 2. Daniel Carley. Canadian Daniel Carley won the Ontario lottery at the most perfect moment ever. He was just about to marry the woman of his dreams, who also happened to be pregnant with their first child. He had a pretty perfect life already, but when he won an incredible 5 million Canadian dollars, he was given the kind of financial stability that most new parents could only dream of. And his life would have been perfect if he'd used his money that way. He'd hit the jackpot. Lucky guy, right? Most people would invest or plan for the future. Well, not Daniel. He threw a huge party with his friends at his dad's bar. But that was just the beginning. For the next 10 years, it was one big party after another. Fast forward a decade and guess what? All his winnings had vanished. Looks like that party life got a little too expensive. Now, it won't surprise you that his young wife left to look after his child in a more stable environment. His friends didn't want to know this out-of-control version of Daniel, so they disappeared from his life too. It wasn't long before he ran out of money, and when that happened, he turned to drugs again. But this time, he was selling them. He was eventually arrested and sent to prison for his crimes. Daniel chose a path that led him to losing his perfect life. But sometimes lottery winners do everything right, and their story still ends in tragedy. That's what happened to the next winner on our list. Number 3. Francisco Guerrero. Throughout his life, Francisco Guerrero had diligently toiled as a bricklayer in Spain, steadily accumulating enough wealth to provide for his family and even invest in multiple properties. When fortune finally smiled upon him with a lottery jackpot of approximately 8.6 mil, it felt as though his years of hard work had been rewarded. However, Francisco wasn't one for luxury celebrations and found himself unsure of how to manage his newfound wealth. So he decided to deposit the money into the bank, heeding the advice often given to lottery winners. With guidance from financial experts, Francisco chose to invest 40% of his winnings and allocate the remainder to a savings account for his children's future. Content with his decision, he continued his routine of working and living modestly, unaffected by the sudden windfall. However, Francisco's contented life took an unexpected turn when a severe knee injury necessitated costly surgery. Fortunately, he'd amassed millions in his savings account from his lottery winnings. However, upon attempting to access his funds, he was shocked to discover the account was completely depleted. Shock turned to horror as he learned that the bank had invested 40% of his winnings in a risky venture, assuring him of its safety. Unfortunately, their assurances were grossly inaccurate, resulting in not only the loss of his investment, but also a substantial debt. To compound his misfortune, the bank used the funds intended for his children's future to offset the debt, and he even lost the properties he had worked tirelessly to acquire. Francisco's ordeal serves as a sobering reminder of the potential pitfalls that accompany lottery windfalls. While it's disheartening to witness someone lose everything due to another's error, the following winner's downfall is entirely self-inflicted. Number 4. Evelyn Bossor. Well, Evelyn Bossor should be classified as one of the luckiest people alive. Winning the lottery not once but twice within 4 months is a stroke of incredible luck. Her first win in 1985 amounted to a staggering $3.9 million, followed by another $1.4 million win the following year. With such substantial winnings, the possibilities seemed endless. However, instead of investing or securing her future, Evelyn chose to gamble her fortunes at the casino, hoping to multiply her wealth. Unfortunately, luck was not on her side this time. Eventually, she found herself living in a trailer park, working multiple jobs just to make ends meet. You thought she was the only one? Well, here's another one. Number 5. Michael Carroll. Michael Carroll was just 19 when he won the lottery. He collected the $14 million with a police ankle bracelet still around his leg. That probably gives you a good idea of what happened next. He spent wildly buying a mansion he didn't like and spending even more on fixing it up. He built a demolition derby racetrack in the back garden where he'd destroy luxury cars. He was starting the day with cocaine and vodka for breakfast, and he spent millions on sex parties in the mansion. Even though he had a wife and child, soon his family and friends had left him because he was behaving so badly. Lucky for him, when he went broke, his wife decided to take pity on him, and she came back. That's a surprisingly happy ending, considering he said he'd be dead by now if he still had the money. But not everyone gets their life back afterward. Just ask Andrew. Number 6. Andrew Jack Whitaker. Andrew Whitaker was living a pretty comfortable life before he won the lottery. He already had $17 million that he'd earned himself. There's no doubt that's impressive, but his fortune skyrocketed when he got lucky and won the lottery too. His win was a gigantic $315 million. When he initially won, he expressed his determination to maintain his lifestyle as if nothing had happened, aside from having more time to spend with his family. He intended to continue answering his own phone, opening his own front door, and seeking guidance from God. You'd think that because he was pretty rich already, he would have known how to keep that money, but fate had other plans. He once showed up at a club with $500,000 cash. Criminals got the better of him, totally emptying his bank account, with several robberies. Within just 4 years, he was totally broke. He'd even lost the millions of dollars he'd had before winning the lottery. He's not the only winner who was taken advantage of, though. Number 7. Callie Rogers. Callie Rogers made headlines in 2003 when she became the world's youngest lottery winner at just 16 years old, winning a whopping $2.3 million. However, instead of using the money to improve her life, Callie fell into a downward spiral. Without proper guidance, she spent her winnings recklessly on extravagant items and developed a drug habit. Despite trying to find happiness through plastic surgery, Callie felt isolated and unfulfilled. She realized that the money didn't bring her the love and support she craved, leading her to sell her story to tabloids in an attempt to salvage some value from her experiences. Sadly, she lost all her winnings and now advocates for changing the minimum age for lottery players. Despite her struggles, Callie has found happiness in motherhood and is grateful for the lessons she learned from her past. But what about this next teenage lottery winner? Number 8. Jane Park. Jane Park was only 17 when she won £1.3 million in the Euro Millions lottery. Instead of using the money to start her adult life responsibly, she indulged in luxury purchases like designer handbags, cars, holidays, and plastic surgery. However, this extravagant lifestyle quickly took a toll on her mental health, leaving her feeling depressed and isolated. Fortunately, she was able to rely on her mother's foresight, as her mom had wisely saved some of Jane's winnings in a savings account. Despite her struggles, Jane is now working to raise awareness about the minimum legal age for playing the lottery, believing that she was too young to handle such a significant windfall. Jane and Callie might be right. Maybe teenagers don't have the maturity to manage that much cash, but our next winner proves that adults can be pretty irresponsible too. Number 9. Keith Goff. Keith Goff was 58 when he won a £12 million jackpot in the UK National Lottery. Despite the opportunity to retire comfortably, he chose to indulge in fast cars, horse racing bets, Aston Villa Football Club outings, and excessive alcohol consumption. His alcohol addiction eventually led to his wife leaving him, causing immense pain for both of them and his death. Before winning the lottery, they had envisioned a peaceful retirement together, but that didn't happen, especially since more money led Keith into boredom, and all he could do was think on what to spend money on. He once got deceived by a con man for approximately $740,000. Sadly, Keith passed away from a heart attack shortly after his wife's departure, with many believing he died of a broken heart. Keith isn't the only lottery winner to die as a result of what he chose to do with his money, but this next story is much weirder. Number 10. Denise Rossi. Denise Rossi and Thomas Rossi were married for 25 years in 1995. When Denise hit the jackpot with a $6.6 million prize she won with 5 coworkers. Anyone would have expected that she would confide in her husband, but instead of sharing the good news with her husband at 25 years, she kept it to herself and filed for divorce. Her plan was to keep all the money for herself, which was quite selfish considering that they'd been a couple for such a long time. Her husband, Thomas Rossi, had no idea his ex-wife was a millionaire until 2 years after the divorce, when he got a letter from a company that pays the cash for lottery winnings. The letter was addressed to his ex-wife and said that the company had, quote, helped hundreds of lottery winners like you around the country receive a lump sum payment for the present value of their future annual lottery payments. Denise had her plan backfiring after the court ruled that her failure to disclose the winnings during the divorce proceedings amounted to fraud. As a result, she was ordered to hand over the entire lottery prize to her ex-husband. Number 11. John McGinnis. Back in 1997, John McGinnis won a whopping $16.4 million jackpot in the UK National Lottery while working as a hospital porter. With his newfound wealth, he indulged in some luxuries and even fulfilled his passion for football by purchasing an entire team for $4.9 million. However, John made a costly mistake by not realizing that buying the team also meant taking on its debts. Over the next 12 years, the team's financial woes drained John's lottery winnings and his personal savings, leaving him completely broke. Despite his intentions to follow his passion, John's financial decisions led to his downfall. Unfortunately, John's story is not unique, as many lottery winners find themselves in similar predicaments after making decisions without fully understanding the consequences. Our next story proves this to be true, too. Number 12. John Roberts. John Roberts went from living in government housing in Scotland due to financial hardships to suddenly winning over $5 million in the lottery. However, his newfound wealth didn't bring him the happiness he'd hoped for. Instead, he made the mistake of spending extravagantly on luxury items without a clear plan for managing his money. The situation worsened when 2 supposed friends approached him with a business opportunity, which turned out to be a scam. They deceived John into investing his money, only to disappear with his remaining funds. Within 3 years of his lottery win, John found himself broke and living in a mobile home. Number 13. Marie Holmes. Marie Holmes was a single mom who was working 3 jobs to put food on the table. Then, in 2015, she got lucky when her North Carolina Powerball ticket won her a whopping $188 million. That was her share of a larger $564 million jackpot that was split between her 3 winners. Marie's troubles began when her family accused her of stealing the lottery ticket, claiming her mother had actually selected the winning numbers. As it turned out, they were correct. Despite Marie's belief that the ticket was a quick pick, her mother had meticulously chosen the numbers and intended for Marie to have the ticket. Unfortunately, Marie's luck didn't improve from there. Despite her attempt to do some good by donating to her church, she found herself facing a lawsuit from the priest for allegedly failing to fulfill her promise to donation amount. Her financial woes continued as she recklessly spent large sums of money, including bailing out her heroin trafficker boyfriend from prison multiple times, totaling a staggering $21 million. Despite her efforts, her boyfriend still received a prison sentence, and to add insult to injury, he later sued Marie from behind bars after she sold off some of the expensive gifts she had purchased for him. This next story will amaze you even more. Number 14. Rachel Kennedy and Liam McCrohan. Rachel Kennedy and Liam McCrohan are a young British couple who won a gigantic lottery jackpot in 2021. Almost. Every week, Rachel played exactly the same numbers on her Euro Millions lottery tickets. She was so dedicated, she'd set up her online lottery account to automatically buy a ticket with those numbers. Then, one week, Rachel and Liam checked the lottery draw and couldn't believe their eyes. The winning numbers for the 228 mil euro jackpot matched Rachel's numbers. They immediately started planning how they were going to spend such a gigantic amount of cash. The young couple realized their lives had changed forever. But when Rachel checked her online ticket, she spotted something weird. It wasn't there. She contacted the National Lottery website to find out what happened and got the worst possible news. There had been an error when the automatic ticket purchase was taking place, and the payment never went through. In other words, she didn't have a ticket. They missed out on that mind-blowing sum of money, and there was absolutely nothing they could do about it. It might be the biggest lottery tragedy of all time, but at least their lives didn't change. Number 15. Tanya Lynn Dickerson. Tanya's story began at a Waffle House, where a group of close-knit waitresses decided to pool their money to buy lottery tickets together. The plan was simple. If any ticket won, they'd split the winnings. Little did they expect one of the tickets to actually hit the jackpot, worth $10 million. The twist came when one of the waitresses, Tanya, who held the winning ticket, chose not to share the windfall. This decision left her coworkers feeling betrayed and cheated out of their share. Despite their attempts to sue Tanya, they lost the case, and she walked away with all the money. However, Tanya's actions didn't go unnoticed. The Waffle House boss, appalled by her behavior, attempted to seek justice for the waitresses. He sued Tanya, alleging that she'd promised to buy him a new truck with their winnings. Although the case made its way to the Supreme Court, Tanya ultimately prevailed. Tanya's attempt to safeguard her fortune by forming a corporation backfired when she gifted shares to her family, triggering unexpected gift taxes from the IRS. Forced to pay $1 million in taxes, Tanya's scheme to keep all the money fell short, leaving her friends without their rightful share. It's hard to say what these winners could have done differently, as everyone's circumstances and choices are unique. But they surely missed out on changing their lives one way or another. But it didn't have to be that way. What do you think they should have done differently? Let's discuss in the comments. Also, like and subscribe for more videos.